the creator lifestyle it's tough. Like you guys have to be always on.
You're now listening to The Creator Code, the podcast dedicated to unlocking the secrets of your favorite online creators. Each week, we will deep dive into the tech, tips, and tricks to find out what truly makes them tick. Whether you're a new creator just starting out or an accomplished veteran, this show is made for you. And now, here's your host, MattyTingles.
All right, welcome back to the Creator Code Podcast. I am your host, MattyTingles. This is the podcast where we unlock the secrets of your favorite creators. Thank you so much for being here. As a reminder, full video of these episodes are on YouTube, so check that out. We're also now on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Please go leave a 5-star review. Say something nice about the podcast, especially on Apple. That's how they show the show to new people, are strictly those reviews. So it helps out with visibility for the pod. So please go do that if you want to. Today, episode 5, we have a very, very special guest joining us. This man is out here. I'll just say it, changing lives for creators, including myself. One of the most requested guests so far. Of course, I'm talking about Ben of Human Media Group. Let's get right to it. How are you, Ben?
I'm doing great, Matty. Thanks for having me on. I mean, I try and keep up with everyone's content. I've been listening to every episode of Creator Code. It's been fantastic so far. So congrats on getting this rolling and getting posted. Thanks for inviting me and letting me pop in and give maybe a different perspective than some of the creators you've had on so far.
Of course. Yeah, man. I really wanted to have you on because one, you're a very important part of what a lot of us do. But then also just, it's a different perspective. It's a different perspective, right? Because you're not necessarily on camera. I mean, you have been on camera.
But this is new for me. I had to prepare. I had to mentally, physically, emotionally prepare to get in the chair and get on camera. That's not me. I like to be behind the scenes, but no, it's great, and I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and like I said, you really were one of the most requested guests. I want to say you've came up almost nearly every episode.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'm really happy to help. It's something that I love doing. Let me tell you, I've done a couple different jobs in my life, and I don't think I've been as happy being as busy as I am now doing anything else other than this. So,
man, it's love it. I love it. All right, let's hop right into it. Let's start here. Who do you have winning the NBA championship this year?
Oh man, that's a great question. So right now, it's Thursday, so the Lakers haven't played yet. So I think it's possible the Lakers get eliminated today, which I think is crazy. Because I think they were kind of my team. They just seemed like they were going to get it right. Everyone's going to get healthy. First round, they had a pretty good matchup. Doesn't seem like it's going to happen. I have the Nets. I don't think that talent is going to get matched by anybody.
Oh man,
I think we're going right now. I think it starts Saturday, the Nets Bucks series.
Yep.
I really think that's for the title. The two of them have the best set of talent. Embiid has a meniscus. Like that's not what you want. Like probably shut him down. Like I don't risk it. Like that man is 7'3" and how big? Like
it's a lot of body to move around,
especially on a knee, like a bum knee. No, don't risk it. So I have the winner of the Nets Bucks series winning it all. I think the Nets are going to do it. I do love like. I'm huge in basketball, fantasy basketball. I love Drew Holiday. I love like a bunch of these other people. But I just think I think Brooklyn's the right team this year.
I hate to say it. I really do hate to say it, but I think you're probably right. I mean, 3 guys that can get you, 80, 90 combined every game.
It's crazy. And anyone, any gaps that you can find, you're just attacking. And they took off like they coasted. They coasted to like what, the 2 seed. Mm-hmm. They weren't even trying. They didn't even have their team. So it's scary.
And KD came back from an injury like it didn't happen. So man, I'm So game.
How are you feeling as a Laker fan? I know you're stressed. You're stressed right now.
It's tough. It's tough because on one hand, it's like, there's no help with LeBron. When AD's gone, I mean, literally last game, 2 starters had no points.
Right.
So just no help there. And then again, losing AD, that's losing a top 5 player in the league. So
you can do it with both of them. You can't do it without either.
Really tough. AD's, who knows? It's a groin, but like That's what kept LeBron out the first year in LA for like 3 months. So
yeah, you're not going to come back in 5 days.
Yeah, tough. All right. Well, I like that pick. Honestly, that's probably. I'm not sold on Giannis in the playoffs yet, but they look real good.
Still can't shoot free throws. Everyone on the Nets can. They'll be fine.
They look real good. All right, love it. So obviously the last year and a half or so has been, different, right? With a global pandemic. I've been asking every guest this. What do you miss most about the world pre-pandemic when you were locked down?
Oh man, the world. Definitely, I think meeting up with people. So my job is all about connecting with people, kind of talking to you. I talk with you probably 2 or 3 times a week. If not, we're texting daily on what's going on.
Yeah.
And right before this, I think we were finally getting in the swing of like, hey, we're going to have events. We're going to meet up. Like with my job, I'd love to get everyone together, and getting collabs and boosting everyone's audience is ideal for everybody. And also get to build those personal relationships, get to learn more about everyone. So it's not just kind of text communication.
Right.
And I really, really missed that right when it was about to hit the upswing. So I'm looking forward to it this year. I know I told you I'll be out in Portland in a couple months, so looking forward to seeing you then. But yeah, I think it's that, and it's going to pick back up. It's going to get there, but I'm sad that I maybe missed that the onboarding with creators that maybe I would have done previously when I'd go out and meet them and kind of talk with them and get to know what they're doing. Didn't really get that. It's all on text. But that being said, like I think there's I guess a counterpoint of like, I've been sitting at my desk. I've been playing games with people. I did like a nice, a fun, like, I guess like an online board game night with like Amy Kay a couple weeks ago. That she invited me to. Among Us was great. We got huge groups of people on there. So we found ways to get connected. But I really miss like the big meetups and like VidCon. Like think of VidCon and kind of those events just went out the window. So I'm looking forward to pick those back up, do some things of our own, and kind of hang out with people again.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I would imagine for you, you've had to adjust a lot, especially with, like you said, with onboarding and just kind of figuring that out. How has that adjustment been? Like was it kind of natural for you? Because, I'm assuming, a lot of your work is email.
Yeah.
Right. And probably Zoom stuff, email. Right?
Yep. So it's been pretty natural for like the brand side. Talking with brands, that's always going to be mainly over email. I think the creator side is where it's been lacking a bit. I prefer to like really work with people that I know and get to be connected with. So that's been a bit lacking. And I think maybe one of the hardest things is that I had my company. So I'm a part of Human Media Group now. I had my own company, which was Zees Media, which was just me. And that was like with the Zees app, we had only ASMR creators. And I merged with my business partner like over the pandemic. We met in person for the first time last Christmas. And then we finally we merged last May. So like I've seen him. I've spent like 3 days in person with someone that I call like 4 times a day on the phone, like 7 days a week. We're working together. And I think that's probably been the weirdest part of the pandemic is like building a company with someone that I know we talk to all the time, but I've only met one time in person. So kind of missing that aspect of it.
Yeah. I would imagine a lot of companies have had to kind of, adjust and shift and make things work last year. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this is there's a few questions here that are generally like I thought would be good for the pod, but also I am generally curious.
And just toss them at me.
Let's go. Okay. Married to Gibi.
Yes.
Obviously she is a huge success. What is that like for you?
Yeah, it's really interesting. So I got started doing all of this. I don't know if it's a question later, but I got started managing talent by working for her or with her. She was starting to respond to sponsored emails. She started her channel while she was in college and I was in graduate school. So I went to go back and get my MBA, and she was going and kind of continuing in college and starting her channel while she was figuring out what she wanted to do. She started to just respond to emails kind of as me and being like, hey, like I want to be taken seriously. Like I'm just going to say like, hey, it's my boyfriend. her manager. And it's kind of evolved from there, where she's like, do you want to take that on? I started to take that on, and I really pivoted my business school, I guess, trajectory from what I was doing, which was operations and like statistics and those sorts of things, over to managing and marketing and all those taking classes to help me with that skill set. So she really gave me my start. And I'm very appreciative for that, because I love this work. In terms of, I guess, living and adjusting to being with the creator, like, I have to be the flexible one, no matter what. Like, there's a bunch of things going on. Like, let me tell you, I talked with you today. We're going to do the podcast at 4. Then we're going to do it at 3. She has a podcast at 5 that she's doing. There's filming. My office is next to her film room, so I kind of have to go outside to take calls or do something and make sure I'm bouncing around her film schedule. So especially with ASMR, like, it can be tough. But I think we've got a system that we make work, kind of have dedicated filming days where we know, like, okay, I'll take some calls in the morning while she's still getting ready. I'm getting ready to film and working through that. And then in the afternoon, I'll maybe like go to the gym or go out with the dog and let her film for a couple hour block, so that we can both do what we need to do. And then we're both kind of sitting at our desks working late, just catching up with whatever we need. So our work days are a bit, I guess, broken up.
I feel like that's how you have to do it, though, right? You got to have some sort of, I mean, first of all, communication for sure. And then, just some sort of schedule like that. Yeah, because that's, man. Well, I mean, outside of working with her, what is it like, being married to her as a well-known creator on the internet?
Yeah, I mean, there are obviously, I mean, pros and cons. Like, I think it's cool that we were able to go out and get connected to people that obviously we wouldn't meet otherwise. It's fun, like, when you're going around to go out and have people recognize her, and it's like, oh, like, sometimes I'm recognized as well, just because I'm in a couple of videos or things. So that's really nice, and kind of having her be such a positive face is great. There are, I guess, the downsides are just like the level of keeping things private and things like that are things that extend beyond her. It's like, in order to protect her, myself and others have to, like, make sure we're doing the right things as well, to not be the source of, like, a leak of information that we don't want out there. So that's kind of the give and take. The positives definitely outweigh the negatives. Like, I think it's for sure really fantastic, and we've made great connections because of her audience and her my connections as well. And but the downsides do exist, and it's needing to be flexible, and needing to make sure that we're always not on edge, but aware of what we're doing, what we're saying, and how that impacts kind of what we're working towards.
Right. As far as privacy stuff, is that something that you guys were cognizant of the whole time, or is that something that you guys had to kind of learn as her channel grew and her name grew?
We learned that pretty quick. We definitely tried to be pretty smart with it from the beginning. But there's always things that you have to be aware of. Like, you never know what rabbit hole someone's going to go down to look for information. And so there are definitely some patchwork holes that you fill up at the back end, I guess, where you're like, oh man, we thought we had everything. But I definitely think we were smart about it pretty early.
Good.
And I know it's something that definitely was. Gibi was really intelligent about it, going about it, and knowing she did videos when she was younger. She was always in the YouTube, or not YouTube, but like, I guess, creator space. She's an artist through and through. And so she's kind of known, I guess, some of the pitfalls that can happen. That I definitely, like, let me tell you, I sit at my desk, or I was going to an office job and just living a normal human life and doing that. So I was not aware of it, but she was very, very on top of it and very aware. So I think we tackled most things pretty early.
Nice.
And I do think people now are doing the same thing. Like, I think people have definitely seen from her, especially in this community, what to share, what not to share. And I do see that there's a huge change now in how creators, I guess, present themselves publicly from an identity perspective than maybe previously.
For sure, man. And like, there's been really bad instances of stuff that's happened to creators. And I think, I think it's really important to figure that out as early on as you can, because you never know, you never know when you're, you got to be ready for when your channel goes.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
So kind of going off that, what's it been like watching her channel and career grow at the rate that it has?
Oh, it's been crazy. I mean, I definitely know I was not familiar with ASMR when she started.
Yeah.
I'm unfortunately someone that hits the pillow and falls asleep kind of guy.
Okay.
So I was not someone that I guess had the same sleep issues that she had. But I always knew that she was watching this content. My problem was like, can you turn the phone brightness down so I can go to sleep on the other side? Because this phone's really bright when she's really watching the videos very close, and she'll fall asleep to it. And I'm like, I sleep in like total darkness.
Yeah.
No sound. Like I don't want anything. I just kind of go to sleep then. So that was my introduction to it. But watching her grow, I think it was just really kind of a testament to what she did. Like she set out to make a schedule and to implement it from day one, and did it, and hasn't missed an upload in goodness knows how long. Like she was able to plug me in and kind of bring me into this world in a really cool way of like, I'm doing something that's a different skill set from hers, but I'm still very involved. And I think like it was almost a necessary adjustment. Like I don't think that I could be doing what I was doing before, like working just a regular corporate job and us have the same relationship that we have now if I didn't get involved. So I think it was nice to kind of get the olive branch to get involved. And I'm really glad that I took it, and we've really grown from there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, it's not, what she's done and accomplished is not normal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's,
and creators are the creator lifestyle is it's tough. Like you guys have to be always on. Like there's always something to do, either preparing the next video, preparing the next project, being on social media, like building your brand. There's always, it's like work is constant. And coming from a world where it's like, go to work 9 to 5 or go to school and then you're done. That on off switch is something that you have to really learn in a partner. And I think that's something that we figured out at a time. I think unfortunately where we shifted to was we just shifted to like, hey, we're just always going to be in work mode, and that's just how we go. But that just like, that's an understanding you need to have with a partner
for sure,
and with like friends in your world of like, hey, there's always things going on right now, so I always need to be kind of like, I'm on my phone, I'm not talking to you, I just, things are happening and I need to be in on that.
Have you found any sort of balance with that? Like, are you able to put the phone down at any time?
Yeah, so I'm not great at it now. I think I was telling you before, so we're doing a big kind of growth push in our company, and just trying to figure out some new avenues. So I think both of us are probably pretty bad at it right now. She's getting better because she took like a mental health break from Twitch, which I think was great for her, just to give her some more time. But kind of at the same time, we're doing this big growth push and have a bunch of projects. So it's kind of a bit of an ebb and flow now. Now that I'm brought in the same world, it's hard to get us both on the same page. But we're actually going to be traveling this weekend.
Nice.
We're just meeting up with some friends, and it's like, this is the first time like the dog's going to be with the dog sitter. We're going to try not to sit with our phone. We're going to like hang out with people. And I think that's really helpful. But I think it is tough for both of us to say like, hey, we're going to go to like an island vacation for a week and unplug. Like I get stressed out at like the thought of that. And I'm sure she does. I know she does too. So it just kind of, I guess it's a mindset thing, but it's it's hard to overcome. Once you're in it, the ball definitely just keeps rolling.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll get into this in a little bit, but like, I mean, for what you do, taking a break, you gotta, I guess, if I was in your shoes, I guess I would feel pressure to, I don't know how I would take a break if I was in your shoes. Cause you have a lot of people under your, whatever you want to call that, client list.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. So I figured out that I basically can't take a full break. I can't like go and unplug for a week. We're not in the position to do that yet. I figured out that I can work half days for an extended period of time and just maybe push off larger projects. But a lot of it, again, to your point, is like I need to route emails between you and clients that I work with. And there are deadlines. It's month-end deadlines. It's maybe a June 15th deadline for some brands. And it's like, if I'm gone for 3 days before that, like nothing happens. There's no transit back and forth. So I think while it's a great position, I love obviously doing what I'm doing, that pressure definitely still exists, where it's like, even if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I have to go to my desk and like follow up on everything that I need to do. Like I need to do it, and I can't completely unplug. I can get to close to that point, maybe like 25, 50% capacity. But like even over Memorial Day weekend, we had people here, and it's like, well, I still have to, it's the end of May, beginning of June. Like I need to sit at my desk for 3 hours and make sure everyone's prepared for the next month.
Whew, yeah. But I think this is really interesting because every episode so far, taking a break or some form of that has came up, right, with creators,
right?
And so I think it's interesting to hear from you, which you're on. I wouldn't necessarily say the other side, but you're on a different spectrum of it. Yeah, man, it's kind of like everything is just.
It's like, while one person's taking a break, other people are not. So it really,
exactly.
You have to balance it back and forth and be kind of steady. Like that's a bit of my personality, is being, I'm fine. If I wasn't working for an extended period of time, I don't know what I'd be doing. Hobbies, of course, for sure. But like I enjoy the work so much that I don't mind being around. But so much of my job is availability and responding to things that I kind of need to be there.
Right. Yeah. So I think from what I've seen with nearly every successful person, whether that be on YouTube, whether that be in any form of media entertainment, the one thing that they consistently have around them when they're successful is a great team. It's it's one thing that I've learned over the years is like, you really cannot do all of this by yourself. You can't, right? Yeah. And I think that's, for creators out there, I think that's a mindset that we unfortunately kind of grow into, because, we get let down by a lot of people, right, over the years. And then there's a lot of control that's like, well, I don't trust someone yet to edit, right? Or, and stuff like that. And so the one thing that I've always, I thought was really cool that Gibi has done and that you guys have done is just you built a team to keep things rolling, right?
Yeah.
So with that being said, like what outside of what you're doing with Human Media Group, what role do you play in Gibi's team?
In team, like I think it's probably more similar than you'd think to a role that I play in your team. Which is that like my priority is, I guess, like, or my primary role for her is the branded sponsorships. Like she has a sponsored Saturday, and for her, I think like she's been doing this for years, and that's how I got started, was filling her sponsored Saturday spots. And then when I reached her capacity, I started to reach out to other people. And that's kind of been our entire process. So I think my biggest thing is continuing to fill that schedule. I fill her schedule maybe a bit further out than other people, because there may be some longer term annuals. Like you see on her channel, there's normally like every other month there's a brand that's coming back. So I set up with her kind of a pretty full sponsored list that going further out. I think for her, she probably has 4 to 6 slots left, like the rest of the year.
Wow.
That's it. So everything now is like either a one-off or it's a kind of a renewal that will come through with a brand that we've already worked with. Like maybe a bigger project, something cool that's popping in. But for her, I think the biggest thing is mapping everything out. And then at June 1st, like I sent you your email like, hey, here's what we have. For her, it's here's what we have. Here are the weekends for them. Here's the talking points and everything. And then I work with the rest of her team to basically execute the briefs. It's like Vestman always on it, like getting me the videos a couple days in advance. She's pre-filming her sponsors. So I guess there's that part of the team. And then the other part of it is like, we have a dog. Like you can't have a dog around when you're filming ASMR. So the other part of it is like building, again, the flexibility point that I mentioned earlier is like getting out of the house, taking other things off her plate that would, I guess, add noise or add issues to filming. So yeah, I think interestingly, the managing perspective or the managing role is pretty standard across other creators. Hers is a bit more hands-on because
Sure.
she's also a very big creator and there's a lot
Yeah.
more to do. Some projects have a ton of deliverables, but in general, the rest of it is just like being also a supportive husband and taking care of random things around the house to make filming easy and possible.
Nice. I love it. Yeah. And really quickly, just shout out to GB too, because I got a puppy in December and never had I had a dog growing up, but this is the first pet that I've had where I'm like, okay, I got to keep
Puppies,
it alive.
Man. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And she's been very helpful with figuring that kind of thing out. Like for a while, she was going to a daycare where it was kind of a facility. And it was great for a while, but then once the weather got better, it was like there's probably 60 to 80 dogs there. And it's like, all right, I'm not really feeling that. And so she actually suggested finding like an in-home sitter, right? And that never crossed my mind. And then, but her thing that she told me that really clicked was, okay, but think about when you want to travel or need to travel for work and stuff, get her into this home where she's comfortable, and then you can go do that. And so I did that, and it's been a couple months now, and it's so great.
It's huge. It's so our great. First time we're leaving the dog for an upcoming trip, and it's like the first time that we have to we had to do that, but we knew that like she knows the people there, she knows the dogs there, she knows the environment, she's done an overnight before, she's going to be comfortable. And yeah, Gibi's always been all over that. Like giving me 6 books to read before we were watching the Kiko Pup videos on YouTube. We had a big group watch session. Instead of anime, we were watching dog training videos, and we watched all of them. And her preparation extends beyond just the YouTube channel. It extends to everything. So
for sure, yeah.
When we had Satine, there was a boot camp before it, and it's ongoing. So glad she's able to help you out.
Yeah, man. No, it's been huge. And the family that she goes to, they have a couple younger kids she can play with, a couple other dogs. It's really, really ideal. And the woman is a vet. She works part-time at a vet. So I was like, all right, that's perfect.
Yep.
Anyway, shout out to Gibi for that. It's been extremely helpful, really. All right. So you mentioned Zees Media before.
Yeah.
So talk to me about your experience with that, and then transitioning into Human Media Group.
Yeah. So Zees Media was awesome. Again, it was kind of a very similar role to what I was doing, what I'm doing now. But it again grew from that expansion of, hey, GB, like I have more sponsorships than I can fill for you. Like, what do I do with it? Can you please introduce me to your friends?
Right.
And so it kind of continued to snowball from there. There were more brands. I know we got introduced to like the Reese movie. We met in person. So there started to be more events that I guess I was able to set up. The VidCon group. It's just like people were looking for ASMR creators. And to be honest, for an agency coming in fresh to ASMR, it can be difficult. I'm sure you see emails that come out that look like they're cookie cutter because they are. And I have like 5 email addresses that are like Ben at Zees Media, marketing at GB Official, Ben at Human Media. I have all these email addresses. And so some people list me as their contact. And so I see them come in 4 times in each place to I know it's the exact same email.
Oh my God. I didn't even think
name.
about that. Yeah.
And so then I just can respond like, hey, I'm Ben. And I work with all these people. So good to talk to you. But I started doing that just in the ASMR space. And it was great. Again, we had a ton of fun. I think we had some good opportunities. As I continued to grow, again, it was just me, and a 1-person team is hard. I got connected to my business partner, Matt, who is basically similar role to what I'm doing for Charlie, for Moist Critical or Penguin Zero. Charlie and GB are friends. They've done a bunch of stuff together. She was on his podcast, and they talked. And I guess he was looking for some female creators for a brand that they were working with. And in the gaming space, there were not a lot of girls.
Not a lot, yeah.
And I had a roster of like predominantly female ASMR creators. So we got connected and just like worked on one brand deal together. We went down to Florida for, I guess, just like we were going down for Christmas. Met up with him and just like we hit it off. We seemed to have the same thing. We both were probably like the similar size companies, but also were similarly sized companies that had like one person doing everything.
Right.
And I was like, hey, I really enjoy kind of some of the operation stuff, my background in college. And I can take on more of this for you, and you can take on more of the creative, bigger projects that I'm not as good at. So there was, I guess, synergies in our skill set, and real diversification in our roster. Like they were completely different.
Right. Yeah.
And I wanted to work with other people as well. Not that I don't love all the ASMR creators and work with ASMR content, but from a business perspective, it's risky to be just in one one vertical. And so we merged kind of over the course of last January to May, and have been growing again a bunch together since then.
Yeah. So how many clients were you at before merging?
I was at 25 ASMR artists, just ASMR creators. And then Matt was at Matt Phillips was the other, my business partner and other half of HMG was at probably like 20, maybe 15 to 20 gaming creators. And we've since grown that to kind of 100 total. So we went from 40 to 100 in about 12 months. So it's been a lot of things. I think we had Gibi did a video with me, I think interviewing me about my backstory that got a couple of ASMR artists that were interested or had questions. They reached out, and we started working with them. And then Charlie did a video as well, because Charlie's a part owner of the company. And he kind of talked about his company. We got people that were maybe fans of his or familiar with his content to reach out, and got some great clients. And again, these are people that I talk to now every day. And just kind of came about pretty naturally. So most of our growth has been people that are directly connected to someone that we already work with. Exactly. I think that's been the right way to grow it. And I still feel like I have a really personal connection with everyone.
For sure. Yeah. And I think I'll say this too. I'm always, and this kind of goes into the next question too, but I'm always impressed with, it does feel like, by the way, I didn't know that you guys were to 100. That's insane.
Yeah.
In my mind, I was guessing 50, 60, which is still incredible.
Right.
But like, whew, okay. But I'm always impressed with how you handle stuff, because it does seem like you do make it personal, and it's not just kind of broad. Hey,
Yeah, here's my
so I do exactly. I do appreciate that a lot. So, How do you keep track of everything? I mean, look, and for creators out there, a lot of these. Okay, let's back up really quick. Just for creators out there, explain a brand deal and what that is for creators out there that don't know.
Yeah, so there's a couple of different, I guess, types of brand deals that you can look at when you're working with the brand. I think probably the most basic and probably the intro level brand deal is like an affiliate deal. So they'll send you some product. They'll give you a link to put in your description, and they'll be like, hey, if you drive traffic to this link, every time someone buys through this, we'll give you basically a kickback. That's a good way to kind of start when you have things that you either really want to promote, or want their product and are like, hey, sure, like I'll talk about it. That's a good kind of starting into sponsorship. That'd probably be step one. And then 2 and 3 do go a little bit hand in hand, but there's a difference between integrations and dedicated videos.
Right.
The priority, I guess the primary thing that we focus on is integrations. That's probably your 1 to 2 minute brand deals. Like this video is sponsored by Helix or Raycon or G Fuel or all these brands that you see. And that I guess the real focus of that is a connection between the brand, what they're looking for, and their budget like allocation, and the creator that has the right demographics, the right audience, and the right personality and brand themselves to fit with the product.
Right.
So a lot of what I do is I have a network of brands that I built over time, through kind of a lot of it is outreach emails that went to creators that we then are able to expand on, or we're now able that we have size to go to brands and say, hey, we're interested in working with you. We have this roster.
Nice.
Can we like kind of route the right options to you? And kind of, again, my job is to facilitate the deals, work with the brand on getting talking points for all of the people that they want to work with and getting them to the creators and getting the creators to create content, get it reviewed and approved by the brand. And then obviously take care of all the financials. So you don't have to send W-9s and invoices and all that. It's nice to get that all through one place instead of through that.
I remember pre working with you. I remember like writing out like little invoices and stuff.
Oh my goodness,
chaos, man!
No.
It's just not for me.
It is something that at scale, like you kind of do need to scale to get to it, because it's like
for sure.
Like we have like a QuickBooks subscription, which is easy, but it's like you need to have something like that in order to make it easy. But as an independent creator, it's like, is it worth it? I can just make it on Google Docs? Like, this is fine. Right. So it's like, I didn't even have a QuickBooks thing until I merged with Matt. And then we're like, okay, we have a little bit more scale now. I was deleting and editing and downloading things on Google Docs and sending it off to brands. So it's something that's kind of one of the benefits of an agency, is taking care of all that for you.
Sure.
Oh, and then the last piece, is dedicated videos, which is just the whole content is dedicated to a brand. It's normally kind of a higher ticket item, and they're more involved, but they're sometimes
right. And so with you and the all the clients that you have, is it majority integration?
Majority integration, yeah. So I think we had over 150 integrations last month, like total brand deals, and I think probably somewhere under 10 were dedicated videos. So the majority are integrations.
Nice.
Yeah.
Because I just think like it's hard to keep up just with my own stuff, right? And so I'm always kind of blown away.
I keep up with it for you.
It's also very true, very true. But you know, like some of the payments and stuff are like net 30, net 45, or past that,
more
right?
than that, yeah. It's net 45 after the end of the month after you invoice. It's crazy.
Yeah, and so like just keeping up with that stuff that are 2 to 3 months delayed, if you will, is just crazy, man.
Oh yeah,
and to
back,
do that
back to
that many people.
The tracking question. I think the biggest thing that I have set up is I do have an operations background, so I do think that really helps me in this space. Like my college education was like industrial engineering, and it's like basically building systems and processes to be efficient. So I did all my work in like Excel and other data manipulation tools, but now it's like
you were built
I have
for
Google
this.
Sheets and things like that we've like mapped out the entire year, and are able to kind of use that as a way to track things. Like when I have to go through at the end of May, it's like, okay, we have to maybe shift things out to the next month, look at June as an entirety, sort everything into by creator, and then send them what they need so that they have it at the start of the month over an email to say like, hey, Matty, here's the 3 things you have this month. Here are the deadlines. Here are the talking points. All of that I'm just pulling from different emails, but it's like Sheets, and I like a calendar. Like I set reminders for myself all the time. Those are my go-tos that I need.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, and I'll just say from my perspective too. I think I was in pretty early with you.
Yeah.
I was in Zees, before Human Media Group, and I'm very, very, very thankful. And I think how. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember, but it kind of goes back to what you said. I think Gibi either reached out to me or I asked her, like, "Hey, how are you doing these things?"
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And then we kind of connected.
I think it was before the Reese movie, because we brought you up to Canada, right? Yeah,
it was.
Yeah. So I think it was. I think you might have asked her, if I remember correctly. You asked her and be like, "Hey, like, can you help with something? How do you have these brands? Because I know you were interested in jumping in this space." And I think that was what she's like, "Hey." That was like the exact same time where I was starting to ask for people. And you were definitely in the top, like the first like 5 or 10 people that I was working with. So it's been a while.
It's been a while. Yeah. It's been really cool too to just see it evolve. And
I definitely nudged you a couple of times to be like, "Hey, Matty, can you introduce me to that person? Would you be okay
exactly
with it?" So I'm 100% sure I've done that.
I'm more than happy to. Yeah, and honestly, like, I get asked by it's just a trickle down effect, right? It's like I asked GB at that point, and then now I have a lot of creators asking me, "Hey, how are you doing this?"
Right,
kind of thing, right? And so it's been an amazing ride so far.
Yeah.
So you said a lot of your clients were ASMR artists, naturally, of course. Can you name some that you're working with who aren't, that people might know?
That aren't ASMR artists? Yeah, for sure. So I mean, Charlie's, I think, probably one of the bigger ones. Obviously, he's huge. We do so. Charlie's down in Tampa, and I think one of the coolest things that we do that's outside of ASMR, outside of almost anything else we do, is we work with the Gronkowski family. So it's like
really?
Rob Gronkowski and his brothers have a YouTube channel that's called the Gronkowskis, or it's called the Gronks. Sorry, I can't believe I messed that up. It's called the Gronks on YouTube. We just passed 100,000 subscribers.
Hey,
but
look at that.
HMG is the producer. We're the brand seller, so we manage everything for that channel.
Nice.
So yeah, we did like a brand deal with Gronk and Honey. We did one with Manscaped. We've done like some of these, like leveraging some of these brands that we've worked with to work with Rob on his personal Instagram, all of his brothers. We have all these events that we put together in Tampa. So that's probably the coolest one.
Sure.
I think that we work with. Outside of that, man, we have a ton of people in gaming. We do some stuff with like FitMC, who does a bunch of great Minecraft stuff. Cold Ones is a really fun podcast. They're out in Australia. It's like the alcohol version of Hot Ones. So they're fantastic. Man, there's like 100 channels.
Sure.
I know my boys Fillion and Original 151 they have a podcast that I need to go on as well, the Sunday Sauce podcast that is very funny. It's two guys from Long Island that are hanging out. But yeah, no, we're really all over the place. We're continuing to add talent. And yeah, we're also growing into like growing a pretty strong network. So it's like we're connected with, we have our roster, but there are a couple of other similar agencies that I think have sprout up that have a similar mindset to us. So while we have 100 people we work with directly, I guess the broader roster of people that we can bring in is friends of Gibi's we can talk to, friends of Charlie's. We're doing a bunch of deals right now with Ludwig, just getting him in because Charlie and Ludwig are friends. So I think the expanded network is something that I think is probably even cooler and something that we haven't been able to tap into as much because we're waiting to go out in person and host events and work on TV shows and things like that are all in the pipeline and will be coming like later this year, next year. Looking forward to all that stuff.
Nice. Wow. I'm very excited to see where this goes, man. I think I mean, look, it's been really great the last 2 or 3 years. But I think I don't think you're anywhere near even seeing a ceiling yet. There's so much out there.
We just did our first outreach like a month ago. And brought in some great people that we watched. We were able to identify some talent. So it's just starting, and hopefully like as the network grows, it's someone where we hope we have people that will recommend working with us to other people and kind of continue to grow that way, because that's how we like to work with.
And like you said too, like once we can get out and you can host events and go to things and stuff.
We actually hosted one of the last events in Florida, of all places, one of the last places to close. So this was HMG like last year. We had an influencer Grand Prix down in Florida. So there was I think it was either a NASCAR or an IndyCar event in Florida that week. And then the day before, we were able to get a bunch of people flying down to Tampa, get them on go-karts and race around the track. And we were able to hold our event, and they actually canceled the race the next day because lockdown went in like after that night, everything shut down. So we have a lot of things like that planned. Again, I think I mentioned to you before the show, but Charlie's building this House of Hydration sponsored by G Fuel, where it's like you see it's not the same thing as like the 100 Thieves stream room, but it is it's a full warehouse we're building out. We're gonna have test kitchens. We have stream rooms, so if people are in the area, they can come in, stream there. We're gonna have a full gym and an office, and there's a lot of things going on that we're able to take this time where we can't go anywhere to like, hey, let's really set our base so we can build going forward.
Wow. Yeah,
so we'll get you down to Tampa. We'll do a big
I would love to, man.
We'll get Taylor. We'll get Rafi in the area. Anyone else in the Florida space? We'll get them to come down and do a big collab in the House of Hydration.
I would love that, man. I'm so eager to like go do things, man. I really am. All right, let's move. That is the House of Hydration thing is crazy.
No,
that's really
awesome.
cool.
That's awesome.
That's really, really cool. Shout out to G Fuel. All right, what do you think is the hardest part of what you do?
The hardest part, I think it's what I said before. It's that I really can't take any time off. It's
Yeah.
that like these deadlines are brands work on a monthly budgeting cycle, so they'll allocate a certain amount of budget to June. And they'll say, all right,
Yeah.
in June we have all of these spots booked. Here's the amount per channel, and this is what we need to get out. So my job is then pressing the creators to say like, hey, you have your deadline is this day. We need to get it in there.
Yeah.
And because of that, like throughout the course of the month, there are different deadlines that exist. And so there's not a time where it's like, it's a good time for me to get away.
Sure.
Because there's always going to be videos coming in.
Yeah.
Creators, Matty, I love you, but sometimes we're at the last minute and we're like, all right, can we get this approved and posted in 2 hours? And it's like, my answer has to be yes, because otherwise we lose the spot or it doesn't work. So I think it's the availability and the inability to disconnect that I was used to from a corporate 9 to 5. Where it's like, I would go home, I'd be like, shut my work laptop, I'll open it again tomorrow, and that's it. There's none of that. It's my phone, and it's you text me, call me, and I pick up and kind of handle it.
Yeah, I can imagine just as a creator who does this for sure. Like I know talking to other creators too, like for sure I'm certain that we don't make it easy on you sometimes because you're like, all right, this is due the 15th and we send it in the 14th.
Right.
Past business hours.
You guys have a full creative process and all this stuff. And it's like, it makes sense. But yeah, it's like my whole job is I know it makes sense, but I have to deal with it. It's just dealing with things and being flexible. So that's probably the hardest thing.
That if you would have asked me what I thought it would have been that. It would have been like just dealing with deadlines and creators, and juggling all these creators and keeping in like, oh, do this for this person.
And I do think like one of the things in this space is there's like the brands at some point will change things. The creators at some point will change things. And so luckily I keep a pretty even keel in everything I do. But I do think like if someone is looking to like do management, I hit the mic. If anyone's looking to do management work or anything like that, like you need to understand that like you can't be in control of everything because it's just impossible. That's not how this works. This is not a standard industry. It's something where like flexibility and being understanding of like even an agencies will come to me sometimes and say like, hey, by the way, like we need to cancel this contract that we signed for the rest of the year because the brand isn't seeing performance and they have a huge account with this agency. This agency has a huge account with me and this one channel isn't working. So while they see the big picture and then a smaller picture and then me, it's like I then have to have a conversation with a specific creator, but you also need to understand like the agency, it's not their fault. It's like this brand's fault and they're looking at numbers. It kind of gets to a macro scale pretty quickly where they're maybe not as flexible as you'd think that they would be. To the human element of it, well, you have to deal with it. So that's definitely something I have to work through.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, kind of on that. So one of the bigger, at least for me, one of the bigger things that we've done together was the Reese movie.
Yeah.
That was 2019?
I think so.
Yeah, it had to be 2019 because last year was COVID.
Yeah.
So and I've talked about this on past episodes, but I'm curious, you flew up there at some point.
Yeah, I flew up. I was there the whole time, but I was like, so this was a weird spot for me because I was still working. I still had a corporate job.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
So like I couldn't, there were a bunch of these projects, even at VidCon, I was taking like vacation days for my corporate job.
Oh, that's right.
Because this still wasn't like, it was growing, but it wasn't quite at the point where like I had a salary. I had like, I went to school, they were paying for my business school. So I had like, I had these obligations to, I guess, a corporate entity that I was like, I have to work on this. And so when I could avoid taking days off, I would try to save them for when I actually was taking a break and not working on my other job.
Got it. Okay.
There were not many of those times, but yeah, no, I was up there the whole time.
That's right.
It was really, really fun. I love that project. And that was probably the first time we got ASM artists together like that. At least when I was there or when Gibi was there. So that really kind of got the bug in me of like, this is really cool. I love helping these people. How can we do more of this and kind of get bigger projects? And that really inspired me to like get a panel at VidCon and how do we get a bunch of people involved there. So
man, it
was a ton of fun.
It was a really fun experience. And just honestly, for me, it was the scale of it. It was like, I remember showing up and being like, oh, okay, like, because
you gotta do makeup.
We yeah. But like we didn't know, like we knew what it was, but I don't think we knew the scale of like, we showed up to the first thing we did was like wardrobe fitting and stuff. And I told this on the last podcast, but I remember like walking in and they had like photos of us like taped on the wall because they'd done their research and stuff like that. And it was just like the cameras they're shooting, the huge crew.
There's like the crane overhead, right?
It was insane, man. It was insane.
No,
what was your experience? So I know what my experience was, and probably is similar to the other creators in it. What was your experience up there for you? Like outside of now that I remember, you were still working your other job.
It was I had a great time. Again, it was cold as anything, if I remember correctly. I didn't have to be on set all day, but I wanted to check in every day to make sure you guys were fine. I remember I did like a walk to get there one day, and I was walking through like industrial Montreal. I was like, this is not Toronto. I was like this industrial area that I think I made a wrong turn somewhere. What I remember was, again, being impressed by like there's a whole production team. There was a lot of pre-planning that I worked on with them. So picking the creators, negotiating rates, like what your day rate was, like what all this was going to be with travel and expenses, coordinating all of that. So I had a lot more, I guess, work in the buildup than you guys did, coordinating those calls and things. Getting there, it was definitely impressive to see the scale of it. And I think my biggest thing was this was the first time where I had to in person push back on a brand and people that I was working with that I had a relationship with. So they were working you guys long days because
for sure
it was taking a while to get done. They didn't really understand that like when you say something in ASMR, it's going to take longer because you're whispering it, you're soft speaking it. So they missed that element. So you guys were going over a work day. I had to kind of negotiate like, hey, you better be paying these people overtime. Otherwise we're just going to go back. So I think we got you like time and a half for overtime. I was negotiating that with them. There was a lot of that stuff that I was dealing with, more so than like looking at the set. And like I didn't really know much about the script or the final product until I saw the actual video. So I thought that was kind of interesting that I was more removed than I would have liked to be because partially I was working, so I couldn't sit there the whole time. But two, most of the time I was like getting you guys fed and paid and compensated for your time rather than actually like creating the content. So that was definitely my end of that.
I remember that too. I remember sitting, especially for movies and stuff, there's a lot of downtime. There's a lot of like, all right, we got to reset.
Yeah.
And so we're just all five of us sitting at a big orange table in an orange room.
Yeah.
And I remember like a couple of the days where we were like at like 15, 16 hours for that day. I remember Gibi being like, hey, we got to figure this out. Ben's working on it. But like, it's possible that we're either gonna, figure out a new rate for this extra time, or we're gonna go back to the hotel or something like that.
Yep.
So
I talked with her about that a lot because she was like, hey, we're here, and I was like, all right, we're making sure we're getting like time and a half, and these are things that like you put in the contract, but you don't want to, I guess, need to dredge up because you're hoping that things are going to run smoothly, and when they don't, it's like you have to like, all right, I'm going to open everything back up. We make sure like this is it, the rate, time and a half. Here's the day rate. Here's the amount of time. Like here, I was basically creating invoices there and saying like, pay all of these as well to make sure that everyone's compensated.
Yeah, man. I for me personally, that was definitely a highlight for me so far in my career. That was really, really cool.
No, the final product was great, and just like the like going out, like we didn't get a ton of time because you guys were on set the whole time. But that day going out to like the toilet cafe, sitting even in the diner downstairs was just like a great introduction to like meeting these people that I'm talking to all the time and getting really into it and getting me excited to dive in full time.
Yeah. I think that's for me the parts that I really, really remember and loved was just going out after and honestly, even because you were there like in the rooms when we were shooting videos and stuff too.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So all of that was really, really
Nico
cool.
were hanging out. It was great.
Exactly. Yeah. Shout out to Nico. Yeah. Not a lot of sleep that week.
No.
But I'm proud of what we built there. I don't know, I think it was received. But I think that they accomplished what they wanted to do, right? I think
For sure.
it was like a kind of a disruption for advertising. It was like, all right, here's normal commercials,
right,
and then this.
And I think it's something that I'm able to use a lot in my work of like, here's an example of what we can do. Like, I think there are things that will be coming in the next year or so that are built off of that maybe are different than what you're used to seeing in terms of, I guess, ASMR content or sponsored content. In terms of like, there are brands that tons of creators are working with. It's like, hey, let's get them all together and let's do some stuff.
There you go.
I think like we did Gibi just did some commercials. I don't know if you saw that she has like honey commercials now that are out there. So she has some Trudy commercials. Glow has some that are coming as well. So it's like we're starting to kind of branch into subtle ASMR and advertising as a real kind of,
I mean,
means of.
It's already out there too. I can't, like, almost every time I'm watching a game or something, there's an ASMR-ish commercial.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I think it was like Burger King. It was some really big brand. They did a whispered commercial recently.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like,
now it's like getting people that are authentically, it's not getting someone on Fiverr to come in and do your voice acting. It's getting the people that have talent, getting people that have kind of also a community as well. So that's something that I think is going to change a lot in the next 2 years.
Nice. I love it. All right. We already talked about it before, but 2019 VidCon, I was on the panel as well that you moderated. Talk to me about that week and just that experience as well.
Oh man, that was one of my highlights. Again, that was something that was getting out. There were a bunch of brands that I was talking with that were there. So I was doing meetings in the morning. It was kind of getting everyone in the right place for the convention. But it was the first time that I saw again, in person in a big way, like the ASMR community.
Man.
There were a ton of creators. There were a ton of creators there that weren't even in the panel that like now I work with. That was great. Yeah. It's like Rose, Ryan, Busy V. Like those are people that like they were sitting in the stand. They were being like fans of you guys in there. And now like with their channels, like I'm working with them and it's great to like talk with them and be close with them. That week was so cool. I think it was just really, I guess, validating, hopefully for you guys, of like, look at like VidCon is recognizing you guys. We're going to really talk about this and not just like stigmatize it. It's like, I think they were saying like, what is ASMR? And there was a real question of like, what is ASMR and who are you, rather than like, why is this weird thing on the internet, which maybe it had been previously. I loved it.
Me too, man. And I'll say this too, like, I went to VidCon the year before, 2018, and there was an ASMR panel. Friv was on it. Maria, who was on that? Pokey was on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to that, and I was very excited about it because, again, it was a little bit of, even not being featured on it, it was a little bit of validation. Like, oh, they have a panel. That's really cool. So I showed up, and they had a room. I mean, you remember the room that we were in? The room that they were in was probably 4 times that size. It was an enormous room. Enormous. And they filled 2 rows of seats.
Oh, no.
Like, there was no one there, right?
Sure.
And so, and that's maybe a testament to 2018, because I think 19 was really big for ASMR. But then what was really cool was showing up to the one that we were on, and that room was essentially almost full. It was full.
Yeah.
And so that was really cool, just as a creator, just to see the progression of it and the growth, because that year before there was probably 20 people there.
Yeah, and I'm sure if we did one now, we'd pack that initial room that you guys were in, and it'd be a really cool experience. So I'm looking forward to trying to set something up like that. I know VidCon's online this year, but in the future, I know like that's something that we'll do. And again, it was great to just like, we all went to Disneyland together. That was awesome.
It
was a fun day. We all got dinner. Like, I have that picture of us all getting dinner. Like, that's sitting on my desk. Man. So like, I love that experience. And again, that's something that we're going to get back to, and I'm sure we're going to do it in a big way.
I mean, I'm very excited for because events like that too, especially conventions and stuff, it really does bring a lot of people together. The actual VidCon part was really, really fun, but the parts that I remember was like that dinner we went to, and just walking to bars and clubs and whatever else, like really, really fun. So I'm excited to get back to that for sure. All right, I got a few more for you here. Do you ever so when you're working with companies or agencies, how do you deal with, do you feel like you have to advocate for creators when companies, for lack of a better term, try to lowball creators? Like, how do you deal with kind of taking the creator side of that and explaining like this is why they deserve this?
For sure. So I think I definitely have to take that position. I think one of the biggest benefits that I have is that I've been in this space for a period of time now. So not only do I know what brands are looking for, but I also know what rates people perform at and succeed for brands and for themselves at, and they're comfortable with. So I can say that I think the change is, initially it was something where like, oh, well, there's a brand interested in ASMR, like let's take it, like let's figure out how to make something work. And I think now that's changed. Like, I mean, filling up capacity is like an issue. It's like, hey, like we can book deals for you, but I'm booking them in September right now for some creators instead of right now, because we can turn them down if you're going to lowball them. Like, there will be other brands that come. And I think as we've kind of grown our network, that's been the biggest thing that's changed. And hopefully you see like the offers coming in are not, there's no like real lowball offers here. It's like, if there is, it's like, hey, you can turn this down. Like, I just want to let you know that this exists in case you like have a car you want to buy and want like some extra money for something like that.
Sure,
if you like need it, it's available. But the ability to turn something down is the biggest thing that's changed as I've grown, to be able to advocate better for creators.
Yeah. And honestly, I've kind of gotten that from you too, because, you know, and I think for creators out there, it's really important to know too, like, you know, when you first get that first brand email as a creator, you're like, oh my God, here we go. You know what I mean? Like, it's so exciting. It's so exciting. And honestly, like you explained, like, you're probably going to start out, for creators out there, you're probably going to start out with an affiliate. And like, but even that is really exciting, because you're like, wait, this company is going to give me free product? Like, what? This is crazy. And then, you know, you progress as your channel hopefully grows and all of that. But that's one thing that I've learned in the last year or two is turning stuff down, or at least questioning things where I'm like, you know, is this really, do you think it's worth it? You know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, like Slight said on your podcast, Slight's great about that. Like, just saying like, hey, like, Ben, what can we do here? Like I don't think this is the right fit. And it's like, you know what, like, this is fine. We're going to work on and find different opportunities. And the ability to say either no or like, hey, push again is great. Because for me, like, I push as much as I can to get like whatever your standard rates are or whatever I think the best thing is. And they'll have a hard line. Being able to go back and say like, we're going to say no unless this happens is a really big, I guess, step for creators to be able to have and say and be confident in kind of what they can do. So that's always been really helpful. And sometimes the brands can come back and be like, no. Ultimately, like, for these brands, there's a ton of places they can spend their money. They want to make sure they're being efficient. Sometimes they have internal tools, systems that set their pricing. And while you can say like, it's helpful to give examples of like, he's worked with these 4 brands. They all come back every month at this rate. You should be able to pay it. But sometimes they're not going to be at that point yet. And you can be like, all right, well, maybe you'll come back later, or try it with someone smaller and show like what this performance looks like and go from there. So that's another thing that we've been able to do is like scale up from smaller creators to larger creators and say like, you're going to work with someone that is smaller right now that is interested in kind of a lower fee. And you're going to prove out that like ASMR is something that is really strong in retention and people like having a connection with the creator, and you guys being really strong endorsers. I think that's something that's really unique. There are a lot of like gaming channels or something that don't perform the same way as ASMR channels do. We definitely have longer term contracts with our ASMR creators than we do with others that maybe do a one-off mobile game for a huge fee and then they don't work with them again, but it's a nice check for them. Whereas ASMR, you see brands coming back because of those factors.
Yeah, I think you know, because just with the nature of ASMR too, people when they find a video they like, they go back to it. Yeah, you know, for years.
That shelf life is crazy. Yeah,
the shelf life. Yeah, exactly. Shelf life is crazy. All right, so this I got a few more for you here. I think this is probably going to be the most important question for creators out there, because it's something that when I was at a certain level, I would have loved to know.
Sure.
Do you have any advice for creators out there who are trying to work with brand, who aren't working with you, of course?
Yeah. Of course, someone else, there are a bunch of great agencies, but yeah.
Yeah. Any advice for creators out there trying to work with brands and they're doing it themselves and they don't know what to ask for or how much to ask for?
Sure.
Because that's what I get a lot. I get a lot of creators ask me like, hey, how do you know what to ask for? Because there's a balance, right? There's a balance of, well, I don't want to ask for too much and lose it.
Right.
And then I want to feel like I'm getting something.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So there is a range, and it's something that you learn based on the brands over time of what you can get. I think the biggest thing to understand that maybe sometimes is lost is that like subscribers isn't what you base fees off of. Like that,
Exactly.
It's a great way to build a larger audience for your future videos. But what matters to brands is consistency and the views on a particular video. So if you're going 10,000, 500,000, 10,000, 500,000, that's cool, and your average is 250. But a brand isn't going to want to take a risk and price you at 250 because there's a chance that it doesn't work out.
Right.
So I'd say just know that pricing is really like, unfortunately, the brands are playing a broad game. There are a ton of channels out there, and they are unfortunately just looking at metrics. And I think the biggest things to do are have consistency and price yourself based on your average views. What that is, again, ultimately, it's important to set a minimum that you feel comfortable with. So know like, hey, I'm not going to take less than this because I don't want to promote something at a lower rate. But generally, like, price it based on your average views. I think we normally like on the low end, if you're getting lower than like $10 per 1,000 views, they're milking money off of it
for sure.
So I'd say those are the offers that you can say like, no thanks. Where like that you're trying to find people that are uneducated about this and get them to promote it and make a huge margin. Normally in like the probably 15 to 25 range is like probably a good performance price for creators. So that'd probably be where I'd put. If you're less sure about the brand, want to price higher, maybe go higher. And if you are interested in really making a deal work and that $15 CPM works, then that's probably what I'd go with as a counter that's intelligent, that they'll understand and work with. And maybe they'll counter, but you're also welcome to say like, hey, by the way, like this is actually my minimum. So I'd be set in your minimum as well.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of people struggle. I know when I first started out, I was struggling with that because I was like, well, I don't want to ask for too much because I really want to do this, right? But then also, but I think this comes down to a little bit of a deeper thing with creators is knowing your worth as a creator.
For sure.
And that's what you help with a lot. Yeah. By the way, is because, we don't want to, at least for me, I don't want to spend time negotiating and stuff. It's just awkward and
it's not a necessarily a good use of your time. And I do think the biggest thing that has changed as well is, or I guess the benefits of an agency, and specifically for HMG with ASMR creators, is that since we work with a number of the larger ASMR creators or a number of ASMR creators in general, we're able to stop, I guess, getting the floor pulled out of us, where someone is going to take like, we're going to take this ridiculous low fee because I don't know what I'm worth and I just want to get something for this deal. And then the brand is willing to pay more, but they're like, oh, but look, we have these opportunities that are like so cheap. Like we're just going to go with that and we're doing the same thing. So by, I guess, aggregating and me functioning as like a negotiator for all of you, it's not a union, but it's in a sense the same like increased bargaining power that we were able to get for like, hey, you want to come in ASMR? Don't just like undercut and not pay people what they're worth because someone is going to say they'll take it for less when you could work with that same creator for 2 or 3 times the amount. We're doing there's an audio commercial that I'm working on, and they sent emails to 15 different creators and 5 of them came into my inbox, and a lot of the creators didn't respond to the brand. The brand was talking with me directly about it, but like their initial offer was like $1,000 for a spot, for like this commercial that's going to be, they're going to have usage rights for forever. That it just was not a great deal. And it's like, if you actually talk to them, you can learn what their budget is. You can say, okay, here are the actual options that fit for that price. And these are the people you should consider, instead of like just trying to hope that one of these people is going to kind of dive in at 1,000 when really your budget's like 4 or 5,000.
Exactly.
You're trying to pocket the rest of the money because that's your job. So that's me doing my job. That's where I add value.
Yep. Exactly. I love it, man. All right, I got 2 more for you.
Great.
And then we'll get out of here. If you could hear anyone on this podcast in the future, who would you like to hear?
Oh man, that's a great question. Well, I'm gonna jokingly say Matt because I think Matt would be funny to have a different perspective from my same company. So Matt, at some point in the future, I think would be funny. Man, that is a great question. I think I need to talk to him about it. I think getting Charlie on here would be a really cool guest to have. That's a really different perspective because his content is so unique, and he's also, the volume of content for him is so high. His
absolutely.
life is, he has a huge team. Like Matt and I are on his team. Like we're working on all these things behind the scenes, but he posts like 3 or 4 videos a day.
I think
he's got like 150 million views a month. So like the scale of that and kind of the content production, and he does all of that while being like a top 100 streamer on Twitch. So how you do that, a lot of it is recycling content, but I'd be curious to I've never really been able to pick his brain about a lot of these questions. So I'd love to see if he can unlock them. And of course, obviously I'd love to see Gibi on there. We know she'll be on there soon, but I'd like to get her perspective.
Yep. Yeah, we'll make those out. And look, that's why I call this the Creator Code and not the ASMR podcast, right? Because I would love to have, I love having other perspectives, which is exactly why I had you on as well.
Mm-hmm. I'll set up some podcast trades for you. We'll pop you on some other podcasts and
I would love it. All right, last question. I've asked every guest this is probably the most important one out of all of them. Thoughts on pineapple on pizza? Yes or no? There's no middle. Yes or no?
My answer is no. My thoughts on pineapple as a whole are no. So get that off my pizza. I also I don't like squishy on pizza. I like pepperoni is like a good crisp pepperoni, or like sausage too when it's cooked well. Like that's a little squishy, but like the squish of a pineapple, that's not what I need on pizza. I'm here for a cheese and meat experience, and maybe like some crispy onions and peppers, but nothing in between.
Okay, that's a great answer. I like I like that. I've been asking everyone this. I want to say it's 3-2 for no.
Good. Yeah, good.
And I haven't said what I am. We'll keep building.
We'll pull that out of
you. Oh man! All right, this has been really cool, man. I appreciate you being on.
Of course,
honestly, like I've told you before, this what you've done for me has completely changed my life. I mean, look, I bought a house last year, and that's definitely not possible without you and your work.
I love hearing that stuff. So please send it all my way. It's what keeps me going. I love hearing
absolutely. That. Yeah, man. You are, I talk with a lot of creators, because a lot of these creators in ASMR have became like some of my best friends, and across the board, it's all, especially the people that work with you, it's just like, yeah, man, he like has completely changed how I look at things and what I do, and stuff. So keep going. I'm very excited to see
more meetups to come next. In. That's the next
Absolutely.
thing. Let me tell you, I will be the one just organizing a meetup. I'll send out docs for you guys to all sign up for collabs. So we got collabs coming, we got meetups coming, we got all that stuff on the horizon.
I love it. All right. Where can they find you or contact you?
Oh man, I don't know my handles. My handles are Ben Dini, like Ben Dini or Ben Dini 53. I occasionally pop up in GB's videos. I used to stream on Twitch. Now I don't really have time. But Twitter, Instagram. I'm like this close to getting like 10,000 followers on Instagram. So that's really that's threshold we got to pass.
All right, we're passing that. Everyone go follow him on Instagram. We'll get him there from this episode. I love it, man. Thank you for being on.
No, thank you.
I really appreciate it. And this has been a wild ride, man. I'm excited to see.
Hope you're doing all right with the Lakers. I like the Twitch sent you his custom Lakers sweater today.
Right,
but man, yeah, it's pretty cool. But yeah, I know you're stressed. So good luck with that.
It's games in like 5 hours.
Yeah.
They gotta win. They're in LA tonight. LA. And AD is game time decision.
But I mean,
we'll see. I don't know if I risk that, man.
I
don't know.
All right.
I don't know.
I'll talk to you
All
soon,
right,
man. I'm sure I'll
thank
text you in like an hour about something. So I'll talk to you soon.
Exactly. All right. Thank you, man. All right. Thank you guys for listening. Please remember to subscribe on YouTube, leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It's also available on Spotify, Anchor, Google, wherever you listen to your podcasts. This has been The Creator Code. I am your host, MattyTingles. Be safe out there. Be kind to others and yourself. See you next time.